Hello, Brewmaster Collective Club members. We're here to talk about best mates beers. We've already gone through a couple of them already. That's why I'm a little rosy in the cheeks. I'm here with Ollie Razi, Craig Thomas, and we're going to go into heavy things. This beer right here. And it is appropriately named. It's a super rad collaboration that we did with the Bruery down in Orange County. One of our favorite beer breweries, and I feel like a real inspiration for our club. They've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And although we're not trying to copy them, we certainly take great inspiration from both their club, but also the beers that they make. And so we had this opportunity, we've been talking about it for a long time, to do a collab with these guys. And, we asked really nicely and somewhat timidly initially to say, hey, you guys do these fed fermentations, Black Tuesday being one of the prime examples, these beers of extreme strength, these beers that are intensely, flavorful, complex, I guess was the word I was digging for there. I've always been a huge fan of their barrel-aged beers, and especially these really high-proof ones. And they agreed. So we did some trial beers, right?
Yes, we did.
They gave us kind of the blueprint for how to make these beers. And right away, Ollie was like,
I thought it was bullshit.
Oh!
But we had to try it out. We've never done this in the brewery, so yet again, I'm skeptical. However, this thing turned out amazing.
But you told us we better test this theory before we go to production. That was the point I meant. And he said, this sounds crazy. It doesn't sound like, I don't know if bullshit was the word I was going to use. However, he was correct that it wasn't probably something that our yeast was going to adapt to very easily. The brewery's yeast has been, bred and has been doing these types of things. Ours is used to very simple, straightforward recipes. And so just to explain the fed fermentation process, we start out with a pretty strong wort. We've been talking about how Parabola over the years has gone from mid-20s Plato up into the 30s. We've been playing with some 30-plus Plato gravities on some of these other collaborations we've been doing. Those are strong beers to start with. And what the brewery does is they produce a very strong wort like that. They get it into the cellar, get the yeast working away. It usually takes about a day or so for the yeast to grow to its environment, to start fermenting, producing alcohol. And then they slowly feed in additional sugar that keeps that yeast just producing alcohol, keeps fermenting. It's almost like it's in this steady state of fermenting, and you keep feeding sugar in, and it's a way of trying to get these extreme alcohols without shocking the yeast. That's why you were like, I think this is bullshit.
Well, that, and I didn't know what was going to come out, and I have to say I was wrong. This beer is probably one of the most unique and flavorful beers that we've come up with yet. And the fact that it's 16.5, is that what the ABV is? Which is the highest ABV of any beer I can remember.
Short of double and triple barrel aging.
Correct. But the flavors that actually came through on this beer, especially we fed it with maple syrup, which I think added an extra level of complexity to this beer. But I thought it turned out amazing, and I apologize for doubting that this was going to turn out well.
So typically the brewery would use some other sugar, whether it's a cane sugar or some other sugar, to do this fed fermentation. They would keep that sugar very, very concentrated as to not dilute the original recipe or malt grist bill. In our case, we chose maple syrup. And so that was our little twist. Of course, maple syrup in our minds is a wood-based sugar that goes really well with a barrel-aged beer. We love the flavors and characters of maple syrup. So a small amount of maple syrup went into the front end in the brew house, and then the sugar that we fed in throughout the entire fermentation was this beautiful maple syrup. We had drums of this stuff that went into the beer. Yeah. So it was not the least expensive beer we ever made.
Absolutely not.
Digging into it, it's a very boozy beer. We've already mentioned, but when you're pushing the yeast to these kind of extremes, it's gonna get a little bit stressed out, a little bit. And if you do it wrong, that can really backfire. But if you do it right, then a lot of the flavor compounds that we're looking for in most beers, namely esters, fruity esters, banana, apple, these kind of really nice things. If you do it right, then they become these accents, or in this case, like a little bit more than accents. And when I sniff this beer, it really reminds me of a lot of Belgian quads that you get that just have those really nice, prominent yet somehow restrained kind of ester qualities. These like caramelized apple and, as I mentioned already, banana stuff. I think that you said at one point this reminds you of like a banana split kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It just melds all together into this really nice drinking experience, I think. Really wild. So I'm glad that we tried it, you know. It's fun to see what our youth can do.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some barrel-aged maple syrups before, and it reminds me a little bit of that as well. So it has this almost like bourbony maple, like just really rich character. I totally get all the fruit character you're talking about. It's almost like fruit cake in there a little bit. Yeah, super complex. I couldn't be happier, and I'm so thankful to the folks at the brewery. So thank you guys for coming down and brewing this beer with us, kind of teaching us some new tricks. And I think that's the beauty of these collaborations, is bringing other people's recipes into the brewery, getting a chance to try it on our own kit, and getting to enjoy the results. And we're so happy we can share it with you guys.
Absolutely. Perfect beer for the holidays. So you got relatives coming over and you don't want to talk to them too long here. Just drink one of these. Take in.
Hey,
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Nice job.
Nice job.